Good morning, everybody. This is Grant from State of the Spark with a great Monday show for you. We're going to cover how a 300-year-old samurai wrote that you can do two things with two birds with one stone. You can reveal other people's hearts and also know what weakens you. And then I'm going to offer you 3 ways to get back to warrior strength this morning on a beautiful Monday. It's going to be a great show. Before that, we've got 2 pieces of other news, which I'm super pumped about. What happens with a Cambodian creative caper? As well as how Russia to space to Russia with love beats Tom Cruise to the movie theater. Let's talk about all of this and more. But first, we're gonna talk about morning cup of gratitude. What the crap? No, this cup right here. I'm trying to be awesome today, but I'm exhausted from being so freaking awesome yesterday. I'm not exhausted in the least. I just couldn't find my gratitude mug this morning. I'm sure it's in the car or something like that, but I couldn't find it this morning, so I had to get my awesome mug. So this morning, what are you freaking grateful for? Thanks for the like, Assad. I hope you're doing great this morning. What are you most grateful for this morning? What are you pumped about? What are you excited about? What absolutely fills your heart with gratitude today? Is it something spiritual? Something physical? Is it your fitness? Is it your relationships? What are you most grateful for? You know I'm gonna start. I'm absolutely most grateful this morning for the fruits in our life. Me and Marissa have worked very hard over the last few years to get where we're going. So I'm super grateful for the fruits in our life. And, a lot of times people get success. We were watching Ted Lasso last night and the last episode of season 2. And one of the characters has had all the fruits, but does not know how to be grateful for it. In fact, has no capacity for it, so much so that it poisons the well. Do you have the ability to be grateful for the good things in your life? If you don't, it could poison the well. What is that well? It's the well of goodness, the well of inspiration, the well of the muse of creativity. If you do not know how to be grateful, and I don't mean just a mental assent, if you don't know how to express gratitude, you might get the fruits of success in life, but it might do the opposite. Instead of fulfill you, it might poison the well, make you bitter because you don't know how you got there. You don't know how to enjoy it. And suddenly getting what you always thought you wanted turns sour. You got to be careful for that. So in the spirit of the opposite of that, I am so grateful for the fruits in our life. I don't say that to impress anybody. I say that to impress upon everybody. You are allowed to be grateful for the goodness in your life, and it will lift you up and co-elevate you. I'm also grateful that I'm officially the part owner of a soccer team today. That's one of our investments. We could always talk more about that. Yes, the power of cryptocurrency, the power of NFTs, the power of cutting edge technology and paying attention to it. I am one of 139 other co-owners of a soccer team. Super exciting. Will it go anywhere? I'm not going to say it will. It's complete speculation. But at this stage in our lives, me and Marissa are becoming more and more investors in things in our lives. And we hold actually 2 seats. So whether that's 2 box seats or whether we actually resell one of those, we'll let you know. But I'm grateful for that. I'm also grateful for the habit of study, which brought today's lessons to you. Good morning, Jessica O'Head. I hope you're doing fantastic. Super powerful person. I just love seeing these people come on the show and just like the show and enjoy it because I think we are better together because of it. I get pumped. I hope you get pumped. So let's talk about other news. News that lifts you up. Good morning, Dory. Dory just liked the show. I hope you're doing fantastic this morning, Dory. She's up and around. This is a powerhouse. She jumps in and she says, good morning. Man, I hope you guys are having a good morning this morning because we've got to have a killer week. The world needs who you are. I heard it said, don't go out and find what the world needs. Go out and find what makes you alive because what the world needs is people who are alive. And if nothing more, we get on the show together. Good morning, Jessica. If nothing more, we get on this show together just to announce to each other as a cohort or to the world that we're alive, we're kicking butt, we're taking names, we're uplifting everybody, and we're doing our thing. Whatever that thing is, we're doing it strong and we're doing it together. That's what I love. I love this show has become this aggregating point for these morning people who are getting ready and getting ready to go tackle the world. Some of you are going to take your kids to school. Some of you guys are going to go get in the garden. And I'm so glad we're doing this together. Let's talk really quick about other news. Number one, from Russia to space to Russia with love. How Russia beat Tom Cruise. You know, it's Mission Impossible in here. Tom Cruise was going to be the first person to shoot a feature-length film in space. Oh, here's my man. Boom. Root Patel just getting up and killing it. I know that guy's killing it this morning, man. Hey, guys, and do me a favor. And you guys are already liking the show this morning. I love it. You're commenting. That's great juice. Tag someone who needs to be uplifted today, needs to be part of our little cohort, our Spark citizens, our Spark samurais. That's what we're going to talk about, a 300-year-old samurai. So yes, Russia beat Tom Cruise to space. They just returned from a 12-day venture in space on the International Space Station. Actress Yulia Peresild and director Klim Shipenko, of course, how Russian could you get? Just wrapped up 12 days of filming. Their film, the translation is The Challenge, about a space surgeon who has to go to the International Space Station and do surgery in space for the first time. And they shot for 12 days. They actually used an actual real-life cosmonaut for one of the roles. And they got back, and when they got back and after they recovered, they already began filming with the rest of the film crew on Earth. But yes, they hold the record as the first official feature-length film in space. And sorry about you, Tom Cruise. You didn't move fast enough. And of course, the Russians are like, yo, hold my vodka. I got this. And they ended up in space. If you want to read more about that, how they went to space and returned safely, boom, there you go. In the comments, Russians doing life. And I love the space race right now. I don't know about you, but I love the space race. I love that the Russians are up there. I love that the Chinese, fun fact, side morning news, the Chinese just put their first crewed mission to the Chinese space station. Did you know there was another space station, a Chinese space station? And did you know right now the Chinese are working on the first spacecraft where people will live full time and travel between planets and between our interstellar, not our interstellar, or interplanetary spacecraft that's over a kilometer long. I think they're going for about a mile long. Let's talk about the Cambodian caper, the Cambodian creative caper. Let's talk about it. Most of you know that the Pandora Papers have revealed things, and me and Marissa were reading some of the news articles on the Pandora Papers, and we were kind of unimpressed. There's nothing really interesting here, except someone was digging through the trove, pun intended, digging through the treasure trove of information, and they found out that a looter, a famous looter, Douglas Latchford, who has since been indicted and caught for being a looter of a Southeast Asian empire known as the Khmer Empire. The Khmer Empire. I might be mispronouncing it. They were a large empire in Southeast Asia. And Douglas Latchford had become a renowned looter. And in the Pandora Papers, it revealed 4 pieces of this person's loot had ended up at the Denver Art Museum. Now, as soon as this was discovered, the Denver Art Museum pulled these pieces and started going through verifications that, yes, in fact, these were looted, and now are taking every precaution and care to get these 4 pieces of Cambodian loot, which is in Southeast Asia, folks, right near Vietnam, for those who don't know. Got to make you global citizens. If we're not global citizens, how are we going to contribute to the world? The Denver Art Museum is sending these 4 pieces back to Cambodia free of charge to make sure that they do right by the Cambodian people, because this is significant cultural heritage pieces. And so I point this out to say this. As much as I was kind of like somewhat of a hater of what was going on with the Pandora Papers, we have found that they have, in fact, started producing good works. I don't care if I find out if rich people hide their money. We know rich people hide their money. It's a waste of energy and a waste of our breath and a waste of our greatness to give that any energy. But it did feel good to suddenly hear that the Denver Art Museum was making good by the Cambodian government and the Cambodian people, really. So I've got that link there for you in the other news. A little bit of feel-good news that came out of the Pandora Papers. It's not all rich guys hiding their money. It's justice for some of the Cambodian people in some small way. Let's talk about something that feels small but isn't small. from a 300-year-old samurai who's got encouragement for you on this Monday morning on how you can quickly identify something. This one thing is weakening you and how to fix it, but how you can also hear what's weakening those around you so that you can help them too. Let's talk about what you can do to be stronger. I want to read something to you from a 300-year-old samurai. You see, this 300-year-old samurai was a samurai for years in the early 1700s, actually right in 1700. And his master, his vassal, had become disgraced. And the samurai was then going to commit seppuku, what we know as harikari, but harikari was actually for criminals. This was actually for dishonor, seppuku. And it's obviously where you kill yourself in a very painful way. And he offered to do this. And the edict from the emperor and from the prefecture was that you may not commit seppuku. And if he would have then done seppuku, he would have then compounded his dishonor. So then he appealed, and they allowed him to become a Buddhist monk. And this was a more honorable path because then he devoted the rest of his life until he was 61 when he passed to capturing his thoughts in Zen koans. Eventually, a samurai in search of wisdom sought him out, and his name was Yamamoto Tsunetomo, and he's one of my favorite Japanese samurai from the 1700s, and he wrote the Hagakure. Let me read this to you. You'll get this right away, and I hope you can start your day with this. A warrior should be careful in all things and should dislike to be the least bit bested or the least bit worsted. Above all, if he or she is not careful in her choices of words, they may say things like, I'm a coward, or at that time I'd probably run away, or, oh my gosh, how frightening, or, gosh, how painful. These words and words like them should not be spoken of even in jest, even on a whim, or even when talking in one's sleep. You see, if a person with understanding hears such things, they will see to the bottom of the warrior's heart that it is weak. This is something that should be carefully thought about beforehand. Watch your words. Have you ever been in a stressful situation at work or in business? Maybe the funds were running low in your small business. Maybe if you were in a nonprofit, maybe you were in a tough pickle. I know that we were in several tough pickles in Haiti, and you'd often find someone who would eventually throw their hands up and freak out and say, I don't know what to do. We're so freaked out. What if something happens? But instead of things getting better, it actually gets worse, and it compounds the stress, and that person gets even more freaky. And they shut down and cry. We actually had one person, I remember, we actually had one person staying in their tent the first night. And they begged me and my co-founder of our Haiti organization, they begged us to send her back to the airport immediately. It was a 7-day trip, and they had been there less than 24 hours, and they were so freaked out. It was such cognitive dissonance to be in Haiti, to sleep in a tent, to be in another country, that they asked to be put on an airplane, and we did. We sent them on a 4-hour trip back to Port-au-Prince, put them on a airplane. They paid whatever it took to buy their airplane ticket back, and they left, never to return. In those moments, how do you respond? What comes out of your mouth? There's another scripture that's older than the samurai. The scripture comes from about 89 AD. From someone that's often attributed to St. Matthew, the patron saint of accountants, by the way. He was a tax collector and accountant, as the story goes. And he simply wrote one small line that sticks with me. I mean, he wrote a lot. But one particular line sticks with me, and it is, out of the overabundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. Now, in Christianity and our religious circles, we want to make sure we only say godly things. That's true. You want to say godly good things. Boom. We will get through this. Dory is here riffing with me. How do you reprogram yourself? If you find yourself in a stressful situation, How do you respond? And Dory says this, we'll get through this. But I want you all to take a quick moment this morning and check your heart. Do you throw arrows and darts at your partner? Do you throw venom, or what we call brain vomiting, on other people? Do you get nasty, even in your heart? Now, if you get nasty in your heart, but you at least guard your mouth, that's an improvement. You can tell whether or not you are weak or strong, not based on whether or not you win over other people, but based on whether or not you can guard your tongue. Jessica says, I'm doing the best I can. I am human, and these are normal thoughts. These are thoughts, but they're not the truth. Everything is an experiment. Things are getting better and better. And I am willing to bet cold, hard capital. I'm willing to bet a good, solid money bag of Ethereum that these are mantras that Jessica actually says, that these are probably actually from something close to her actual mantras. And this is my point today. If you ever find yourself brain vomiting, caught in a stressful situation and only saying negative things or doubtful things or afraid of things, or if someone around you says positive things and you find yourself critiquing them, I just got to make sure they're being accurate here. I just got to make sure they're being realistic here. No, all you're doing is revealing that that is your limitation, not theirs. You are revealing your heart. Everyone is revealing their heart. So this morning, we're going to solve this very briefly with 3 quick methods. I'm sure you know these, especially you brilliant people who are also already posting your mantras here. I'm sure you already do these things, but I want to make sure we're catching ourselves so that we can be warriors of good. You know, a lot of you guys know The Alchemist, Pablo Coelho, but very few of you have ever read his book, Warrior of Light. We're warriors of light. We're spark samurais. We're strong for the situations at hand. And here are 3 ways you can strengthen yourself. As Jessica points out here, I'm human and these thoughts are normal. But a warrior is not devoid of these thoughts. A warrior is fighting these thoughts. A warrior stands strong and says the right thing in spite of these thoughts. A warrior is first and foremost, before a warrior is a guardian of their family and of their village and of their faith. Before all of those things, a warrior is a guardian of their tongue. Here are the 3 quick things, and then I'll let you get on your day this morning to start strong. You ready for this? Let's do this. Number 1, make time in the quiet morning routine you have built for positive affirmations. Like I said, I'm willing to bet cold hard cash that Jessica's are mantras. I know Dory well enough to know that her phrase, we will get through this, is a knee-jerk reaction. You've got to have your morning routine so down pat and your mantra so down pat that before you know what your brain is saying, when you're on autopilot, someone recently said to me, I think you're just saying words. I think you're just saying words. And I am, but dude, ask me. I have thought about these words, maybe not in this moment, but I thought about these words this morning. And I thought about these words every darn morning. I had my mantras in my quiet time with God, with my journal, with the dragon in my heart, the enemy. The enemy, I believe, I don't know about this Satan thing, but I know my heart is a dragon. And I know I fight my heart all the time. Lisa says, my potential is limitless, and I choose where to expend my energy. I need to give some energy to my mouth. And sometimes it's just clamping shut. Sometimes it's when someone says something, instead of coming against them, we need to develop the habit of saying this instead. Interesting. It needs to become interesting. When conflict comes, we need to rehearse. We're going to get through this. We're stronger together. I love you no matter what. I'm mad at you right now, but I love you no matter what. I'm upset about this thing, but we're going to get through this. I'm unsure in this moment, but I know that we're stronger together. Are you rehearsing? We go to the gym and we lift weights and we try to get our pump on. When was the last time you lifted weights? with your mouth. Number one, make time in the quiet morning routine for positive affirmations. This is how I start every one of my mantras. Right here. Can you see that in the comments? I am so happy and grateful and full of joy. Now that, if you have seen me, if you ever caught me saying this, Grant's on autopilot, what a glorious autopilot. What a well-intentioned autopilot. I am so happy and grateful and full of joy. Now that, you know where this came from? This came from my years of bouts of depression. Years. Continuously depressed. And eventually, after reading Think and Grow Rich and The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale, I eventually said no more, because all of them told me to come up with my morning routine and my mantras. Have you crafted, have you sharpened your mantras like you sharpen a sword? I am so happy and grateful and full of joy. I'm doing things that impact the world. I ignite lives of explosive significance. And whether I'm saying this intentionally or whether I'm going off the cuff, I did intend to go off the cuff like this. Because in my morning routine, I started with, I'm so happy and grateful and full of joy now that I'm always in love with my wife. Now that I always overcome business challenges. Now that I push through stressors to make it to the gym. Now that I always choose healthy snacks and foods. Yes, as practical as what we eat. Yes, as practical as what we eat. Yes, down to the choices we make, from the food we do for the food we eat, to the time we go to bed, to the books we read, to the shows we watch. I am so happy and grateful and full of joy that I choose positive inputs. I'm so happy and grateful and full of joy that I own property in multiple countries. You guys know I've got my dream board. I've got over 200 items on my dream machine. You guys have seen my little booklet. If you've watched this for a minute, you know this exists. So number one, make time in the quiet of the morning to lift weights with your mouth. I'm so happy and grateful and full. Start pre-programming yourself. Number two, when you write your daily goals, and if you are a Spark citizen of any kind, hopefully you plan the work and then work the plan. Hopefully you wake up and plan your day and not just let it happen to you. I don't know. I'll look at my work schedule when I get there. Listen, work will consume your intentionality. Either you're imposing your will into the world, or the world is imposing its will onto you. You know, we've been going to the gym in the afternoon. I say we've been going to the gym in the afternoon for a few weeks, but all last week we didn't. Because for some reason, we didn't wake up and say, come hell or high water, we're going to make today happen in such a way that we can dip off to the gym. Nope, we let the day get ahead of us and wear us down. And actually, the work of last week did not demand we sit in our chair and work instead of go to the gym, work extra, work long. It didn't do that. It was our willpower. The will of the week just got on top of us and thought, okay, week, okay, websites, okay, in others' intentionality, I guess I'll just sit here instead of plan the work and then work the plan. I hope that every day you write down your top 5 intentions, and I hope that the top priority isn't just work. Hopefully it's improving your business. Hopefully it's improving your deeper relationships with spirit, with self, with family, with partners, business partners, friend partners, community partners. And only then is it the rest of the world. And that might not have anything to do with your business. In fact, sometimes the best thing you can do for your business is take care of your health. So number one, if in the quiet time of the morning you rehearse and lift weights with your mouth, to start with an affirmation so that when you're caught off guard in the world, your knee-jerk reaction is something positive. If that's what happens, then the second thing is simply this. When you write your goals for your day, I call it the daily top 5. My top 5 things I have to do today, and I knock those out first every day. And then I can move peacefully into the demands of the day. Begin your daily top 5 with your mantra. So when I write mine, I start with, I am so happy and grateful and full of joy. Now that I have, number 1, delegated to that one employee. Number 2, plan this week well. Number 3, called those partners that I'm trying to work with. Number 4, knocked out my responsibilities within the business. Number 5, had a successful workout at the gym. It's not all work, but it is energy. Those who don't know, the word for work in ancient Greek was energon, energy. Your work is more than your business. Your work is the energy you direct just As Lisa Welsh said, right? Where did she say it? Lisa Welsh. Boom. I choose where to spend my energy. Work is not just business. It's not just labor. It's not just putting food in your mouth. Work is how you're guiding your energy based on the Greek and the etymology. So when you write your top 5 things for the day, the point number 2, when you write your top 5 things for the day, start with your mantra. I am so happy and grateful and full of joy. Now that I achieve X, Y, and Z. So you're reiterating it there and you're pre-programming yourself for when the stress happens and something comes up with a business. You're like, you know what? I'm so happy and grateful and full of joy that I get on top of this and I take care of this now to a successful conclusion. Let's get it. And you're going to annoy people. Number 3, here's the third tip. So that you know the motives of your employees, your partners, your kids, that person behind the counter. Listen throughout the day for the overabundance of their mouth. The overabundance of their heart will flow out of their mouth. And I want you to practice listening because people will tell you how they're feeling. They'll tell you what their heart really is. They'll tell you. I remember there's a guy in town. He's no longer here. He actually left town. He had burned so many bridges. He actually left Lakeland. And this guy invited me to do some speaking. I didn't know who he was at the time, so I came into his employees and I actually did some training on disc temperaments and profiles. And as we were sitting around the table, something came up that was a high-stress situation, and he stood up and started yelling at everybody. And I got up after it was all over, and I left, and I told Marissa, I'm never touching this guy again, man. And it annoyed this guy so much, he actually started making fun of me. He said, you're Mr. Positive Person Development. You can handle a little critique. And he started to shame me in front of his employees. And I said, I'll never work with this guy again. Not because I'm afraid of the accusations and I'm afraid of conflict, but because he's toxic. Out of the overabundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. Listen throughout the day, and you will learn someone's heart. You don't have to be an intuitor. You just have to pay attention that when the stress raises, how someone responds reveals their character. Do they stand up tall and take it, even if it's their fault? Do they stand up tall and say, you're right, I got to do something about this, I got to fix this? Or do they cave, fold, blame, throw darts? The third thing I want you to do is I want you to listen throughout your week how those closest to you respond. And let's take this further. If you have a project that's stagnant, that has multiple people on it, I want you to listen to your partners on that, your employees, your team. And I want you to start vetting if they have the character to partner with you for the long haul. Now, what comes next, we could talk about. We could dialogue. But if number 1 is make time in your quiet time of the morning to rehearse and lift weights with your mouth, to guard your mouth like a true warrior. The second thing is to write your top 5 goals every day, but start with your mantra. I'm so happy and grateful and full of joy. Whatever that thing is you need to feel. Then the third thing is I want you to put your radar up. I want you to listen. And specifically when stress happens, I want you to go to a Zen place and not even engage with the stress. I want you to listen to how people respond and start asking yourself, do we need to work on this? Do we need a partner? Do we need to part ways? Does this person correct themselves in the moment? Do they guard their mouth? Or do they, even better, say affirming things like Dory said, we'll get through this together. My message today to you, we're warriors. We weaken ourselves not when we encounter the enemy. We weaken ourselves when we let the enemy encounter our heart. When we let the dragon that's in our heart dictate the words we speak. If you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. Truth in that. So much truth that someone wrote it 400 years ago to samurai because he knew that if a samurai, even in jest, how often that even in jest do you say self-effacing things like, oh, I'll never get there. I hate this. I'm guilty. Are you? And if you can admit it, I'm guilty, but I'm fixing it. I'm guilty, but I'm getting stronger. I'm going to start guarding my tongue today because Spark Citizens, we have a mission on this planet. We have a mission for good. We're having a mission to bring good. We're having a mission to bring good into the world. Listen, I talk to a lot of people who think they're going to skip over the individual thing. Me and Marissa encountered a few people this weekend And they were talking about their big dreams. And there was actually a little conflict in the conversation that I was having because I was focused on the individuals in my immediate circle. And this person was accusing me of not focusing on the bigger picture. And in our private kind of debrief me and Marissa had over coffee later that day, I said, it's because I'm focused on the bigger picture, the even bigger picture, that I'm focused on those closest to me. You're a Spark citizen today. You have a duty, an obligation to be better than your worst self, not better than others, to be better than your worst self, your baser self, your lizard self. We could call it a dragon, but truly it's lizard brain, it's limbic brain, right? The dragon in the heart is actually the limbic brain, the lizard brain. You can be great simply by guarding your tongue. And you can take alchemy even further by taking that unction to say something negative, self-defacing, self-derogatory, derogatory to others, and transmute it into a positive thing. But I'm getting better and better, but we're going to overcome this together, but we're going to be phenomenal, but we're going to have an awesome, awesome week. Here's to you, igniting your own life of explosive significance. Have a great day.